Hello there, a very good evening and welcome to another edition of Primetime News on TV1. I'm Charlotte Benedict for the Newsfirst team.
And I'm Naveksha Gunasekara. Here are your headlines for tonight.
No room for racist politics again. President emphasizes determination to create unity.
අරමුණෙන් අපි වැඩ කරමින් තිබෙනවා. ඒ සඳහා ගත හැකි ඉතාමත් ආందోලනයට තුඩුදිය හැකි තීරණාත්මක තීන්දුව ගන්න. අපි කිසිසේත්ම බියවන්නේ නැහැ.
Construction begins on the Mullaitivu Vadduvagal Bridge. Sri Lanka Freedom Party's 74th anniversary today. Anniversary celebration is not legal, says parliamentarian Dayasiri Jayasekara. Namal calls on Mahanayaka Theras. Parents must see arrested child within 6 hours. Supreme Court issues landmark ruling. Sirasa Media Network gets broadcast rights for all Asian Cricket Council tournaments for the next 3 years.
President Andrukumara Dissanayake said that he is working to create unity and not irrational fear, and that he is not afraid to make bold, decisive decisions to achieve this. The president made these remarks today while addressing the public at the opening ceremony of the Northern Coconut Triangle.
President Andrukumara Dissanayake officially inaugurated the first seed coconut production unit in the northern province in Palay, marking the beginning of the Northern Coconut Triangle project. The initiative is being implemented as a collaborative effort between the Coconut Research Institute of Sri Lanka and the Chilao Plantations Company, starting with a 20-acre site. Under the government strategic plan, the districts of Jaffna, Mullaitivu and Mana will be promoted as the core of the Northern Coconut Triangle, with Kilinochchi and Vaunia also included. The goal is to cultivate 16,000 acres of coconut by the end of 2025, with an ambitious target of expanding to 40,000 acres by 2027. To mark the launch, President Dissanayake planted a seed coconut sapling, symbolizing the start of production at the new facility. During his visit, the President also toured a coconut-related exhibition organized by the Coconut Development Authority in Pudukudurippu. In celebration of World Coconut Day, a special commemorative publication was presented to the President at this inaugural ceremony.
As
a government, we will not allow space for a return to racist politics in this country. I firmly believe that as citizens, you too must reject such divisive ideologies, no matter where or how they emerge. We see a political narrative in the South that constantly frames the North through the lens of war and uncertainty. In Colombo, when weapons are found or shootings occur, they are treated as isolated incidents. But if something similar happens in the North, it is immediately interpreted as a precursor to war. This reflects a political agenda that seeks to instill fear and suspicion about the North. Every action, every moment is framed as a sign of looming conflict. But our government is committed to ensuring that war will not return to the North. Our political mission is to prevent any resurgence of ethnic conflict. We are not here to recreate fear. We are here to build unity. We will not hesitate to take bold, transformative decisions that promote reconciliation, even if they provoke controversy. We will not allow regressive, destructive nationalist slogans to derail the progressive steps we are taking. Families have the right to know what happened to their missing children and loved ones. Traditional farmers have the right to reclaim their ancestral lands for cultivation and settlement. This government is working to affirm those rights. While some defeated groups may try to revive nationalist rhetoric, I assure you that we will not reverse our forward-looking policies in the face of such pressure. Yes, we are a country with a history of war, pain and loss, but we must now build a future rooted in brotherhood and unity. That is our path forward. These are not decisions we will turn back on. They are irreversible steps toward peace and reconciliation. Our duty as a government in power today is to ensure that no form of conflict ever arises again in our country.
ක්‍රියාමාර්ග ලෙස අපි සලකනවා. ඒ නිසා මේ වෙලාවේ ජීවත් වෙන පාලනය හොබවන අපේ වගකීමකුම යලි කුමන වර්ගයේ හෝ ගැටුමක් අපේ රටේ ඇතිවීම වැළැක්වීම
During the event, President Anurukumara Dissanayake emphasized that the government is not only focused on the northern province but is equally committed to resolving the challenges faced by people in all regions of the country. Representing the 5 districts of the northern province, individuals preparing to engage in coconut cultivation were formally presented with ownership documents by the President. Following this, the President also recognized 3 outstanding coconut farmers, presenting them with awards. In a symbolic gesture, the President handed over coir-related machinery to support the production of coir-based products. President Anurukumara Dissanayake attended the inauguration ceremony of the construction work on the Vadduwakal Bridge in the Mullaitivu district today. The Vadduwakal Bridge, located along the Paranthan-Karachi-Mullaitivu road near the Nandikada Lagoon, is used by more than 3,000 vehicles daily. However, the lack of maintenance over a long period has left the bridge in a severely unsafe condition. Under the Road Development Authority, the bridge is planned to be redeveloped as a new 2-lane structure. The project, funded with 1.4 billion rupees of public tax revenue, is scheduled for completion on the 2nd of September in 2027.
A group including the national organizer of the Sri Lanka Potujana Peramuna Namal Rajapaksa met with the Mahanayaka Theros and Anunayaka Theros of the Malwatu and Askeri chapters of the Siam sect today. The group informed the Theros that war heroes are being oppressed. In letters submitted to the Mahanayaka Theros, the SLPP said that history has entrusted them with the responsibility of standing up for the war heroes who sacrificed their lives for the freedom of the motherland.
Following his meeting with the Mahanayaka Thera of the Malwatu chapter of the Siam sect, Most Venerable Tibbatuwave Sri Sumangala Thera Namal Rajapaksa called on the Anunayaka of the Malwatu chapter, Venerable Dimul Kumure Vimaladhamma Thera. The SLPP delegation also called on the Mahanayaka Thera of the Askeri chapter of the Siam sect, Most Venerable Varakagoda Sri Jnanaratana Thera, Anunayaka Venerable Dr. Vendaruve Upali Thera, and the newly appointed Anunayaka Venerable Narampanave Ananda Thera.
නාගකමුදාපතිතුමා උලගේ දන්න මහත්තයා අතුරු දැන් මේ රණවිරුවන්ට ලොකු අසාධාරණයක් වෙගෙන යනවනේ. මේ සඳහා ඒ පිළිබඳව ඔබ වහන්සේලා දැනුවත් කරන්න එකම තමයි අද විශේෂයෙන්. ඒකෙන් අවුරුදු 15ක් 20කට කලින් වෙච්ච සිදුවීම් ගැන ඩයස්පෝරා එකේ අවශ්‍යතාවය මත දැන් ක්‍රියාත්මක වෙනවා. ඒක හරි අසාධාරණයි කියන එක තමයි අපේ ස්ථාවරය.
ඒවට කවුරුත් කියලා කරලා බලන්න ඕන අසාධාරණයක් නොවෙන විදිහට. ඉතින් අපිට මේ දුක් කියන්න කවුරු වැරදිද කවුරු හරිද එහෙම අපිට කියන්න බෑ.
Do you remember what they did to Field Marshal Sarath Fonseca, who led the army and ended the 30-year war? An attempt to remove Fonseca from office in the final weeks of the war, fearing that he would get the credit for ending the war, was recently revealed.
On the 26th January 2009, Mullaitivu was captured. Then on the 27th, Gotabe called me and said, "Sarath, you have been doing this for 2.5 years. Aren't you tired? Give it to that guy named Jagat Jayasuriya in Vaunia and take a short break." By then, there were only 3 or 4 steps left to plant the final flag. They knew that Prabhakaran and his group were about to be completely defeated. There was only 7 or 8 kilometers left. They told me to take a break to delay that defeat.
After unsuccessful attempts to remove the army commander in May 2009, just a few weeks after the war ended, they tried again to remove Fonseca from the post of army commander. The Rajapaksa government succeeded by appointing him to the post of Chief of Defence Staff. On the 15th of July 2009, the army commander was removed and Sarath Fonseca was given a new position, claiming he had special powers granted by an act of parliament. However, a few months later, on the 16th of November 2009, Sarath Fonseca retired from that position and joined the people in contesting the 2010 presidential election against the Rajapaksa camp. The Mahinda Rajapaksa government, after returning to power, dragged Sarath Fonseca out from his home on the 8th of February 2010 and imprisoned him in a military prison. He was accused of engaging in politics while in office and of financial fraud. Later, a military court tried Sarath Fonseca and sentenced him to 3 years in prison. The sentence was carried out after the then president approved the judgment. When Sarath Fonseca was released in 2012, he had served 2 years in prison. It was the people who removed the rulers who had brought the country and its people to their knees through corruption and terror. People remember how they had nowhere to hide a few years ago. People remember how they fled to islands and from country to country. That happened because of the destruction they caused to the country and her people. Are they stroking the flames of racism again and manufacturing crises for their own selfish gain, daring the people to teach them a bitter lesson all over again? If you want to do politics, go ahead, but let justice and the law prevail. It should be the same for everyone. That is the lesson the people taught. These are good lessons for everyone to remember well.
We surrounded Pudukudirupu on 3 sides in 2009. Then we had only 10 kilometers left. I finished this and said we would complete it in 7 or 8 days, at most a month. And on the 31st January and 1st February, Mahinda Rajapaksa gave a ceasefire. At the Security Council meetings, we said don't do this. We strongly opposed the move. The ceasefire was given for 48 hours. Why was the ceasefire given? During that time, the LTTE reorganized and attacked us. We had laid down our weapons and declared a 48-hour ceasefire. We had to follow orders, the president's orders. During those 48 hours, they attacked, and my army retreated about 5 kilometers. About 500 of my soldiers were killed. Why was that ceasefire given? It was given so that Prabhakaran and their leaders could escape.
The Sri Lanka Freedom Party celebrated its 74th anniversary today. The anniversary celebration was held this afternoon at the party headquarters under the patronage of party chairman Nimal Siripala de Silva. Meanwhile, parliamentarian Dayasiri Jayasekara claimed that the party convention was not held in accordance with the law.
Former Prime Minister and leader of the Mahajanak Sath Peramuna, Dinesh Gunawardena, and leader of the United Republic Front, Patali Champikaranamaka, along with several leaders representing the Podujanak Sath Peramuna, were also in attendance.
Our party's patron is Chandrika Bandaranayake Kumaratunga. She has sent a congratulatory message stating that she is unable to attend. At this 74th anniversary, our main objective has become that as we engage in politics, we must stand against the oppression in this country, and our foremost aim should be to free the people from that oppression. I hold this chairmanship without any dream of becoming president. Many who dream of the presidency ask for this position. I asked them to join the party, work within the party, rebuild the country, and prove that you are suitable for the presidency and go on to win.
This is the response of the Member of Parliament of the Samagi Janabalawega, Dayasiri Jayasekara.
මේ සම්වත්සරේ පවත්වන කිසිම අයිතියක් නීත්‍යානුකූල අයිතියක් මේ පාර්ශවයට නැහැ.
This party faction has no legal right to hold this anniversary celebration. Nimal Siripala de Silva, who is holding this event today, was not legally appointed to this position. Likewise, Daminda Dissanayake was not also legally appointed. This group is a faction that has seized control of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party headquarters using government power, having sided with Ranil Wickremesinghe's administration and accepted ministerial positions. Therefore, they have no right to hold or lead this anniversary celebration. This is an illegal anniversary celebration. I must emphasize that we have filed a lawsuit regarding this. There have been 2 clear court rulings stating that my removal as the secretary of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party by Maithripala Sirisena was illegal. Despite those 2 rulings, these individuals have violated all laws. According to the SLFP constitution, the political bureau cannot appoint leaders under any circumstances. Such appointments must be made by the Executive Council or on an interim basis by the Central Committee. However, the political bureau was convened fraudulently. Out of 15 members, only 3 came together to make these appointments for the chairman and secretary. They then appointed new organizers and a new executive council, which is also illegal. It was this illegal council that then reappointed these individuals as chairman and secretary. All decisions made after that are wrong. Furthermore, large amount of the party's funds has been spent and squandered. Not only that, but the Sri Lanka Freedom Party has formed a separate political alliance called the Podujana Eksat Peramuna. In the history of the SLFP, the party had 51% power within that alliance. Today, that has been reduced to 25% between the Sri Lanka Freedom Party to the Podujana Eksat Peramuna. I want to state that as the secretary, I have full authority. I have also filed a lawsuit against these actions. The judgment in that case will be delivered very soon. We will very quickly reorganize the Sri Lanka Freedom Party and make it a formidable political force in this country. I am ready to work with everyone for that purpose. I would also like to remind everyone that I was not invited for today's 74th conference. Furthermore, I want to repeatedly emphasize that all decisions made there are illegal.
එනිසා අද මේ පවත්වන 74 වෙනි සම්මේලනයට මට ආරාධනා කරේ නැහැ. ඒ වගේම එහින් ගන්න තීන්දුව සියල්ලම නීති විරෝධී බව නැවත නැවතත් මම අවධාරණය කරන්න කැමතියි.
Remember the 2015 era of good governance. Maithripala Sirisena, who served as the General Secretary of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, contested the presidential election as the common candidate. At the presidential election, Sirisena received the support of former President Chandrika Bandaranayake Kumaratunga. Although the position of General Secretary of the SLFP was challenged due to his contesting the presidential election, Maithripala Sirisena succeeded in securing the position of party chairman after winning the presidential election. Then what happened to Chandrika Bandaranayake Kumaratunga? She was appointed as a patron of the party and did not return to active SLFP politics until the end of President Maithripala Sirisena's term. In the end, Maithripala Sirisena also lost his party chairmanship by a court order.
News First with the people. News First, main sponsor.
A trusted place for your fixed deposits. Valuable FD, the symbol of stability. A trusted place for your fixed deposits. Valuable FD, 10.25% for 15 months, 11% for 24 months. Valuable FD, the symbol of stability.
The Criminal Investigation Department informed Colombo Additional Magistrate Lian Varusavithana today that 4 suspects, including former Minister Anura Priyadarshana Yapa, have been indicted before the Colombo High Court. They were indicted for using dry rations worth over 6.1 million rupees, which was to be distributed to flood victims during the 2015 presidential election for political activities and aiding and abetting in such activities.
Former Minister Anura Priyadarshana Yapa, his wife Dr. Damika Shirani Sumanaratna, former chairman of the Petroleum Corporation S. Amarasekara and Aruna Seraviratna, who served as a coordinating secretary to Anura Priyadarshana Yapa, have been indicted in the High Court. Accordingly, the additional magistrate who considered the submissions of the Criminal Investigation Department concluded the proceedings of the case in the magistrate's court. The suspects were also ordered to appear before the said court when notified by the High Court.
The first phase of the Dream Destination National Railway Station Modernization Program, aimed at upgrading 100 railway stations across Sri Lanka, officially began at the Thalpe Railway Station. The launch was held under the patronage of Dr. Prasanna Gunasena, the Deputy Minister of Transport.
This initiative is being implemented as a collaborative effort between the government, private sector and the public, with the goal of rebranding and revitalizing railway stations across the country with a new identity. The program envisions the modernization of 100 railway stations.
If we are to elevate public transport to a new level, our primary target must be the railway service. We have a clear goal and we must move the railway department in that direction. Through this, we can truly transform the public transport sector. As a government, we have launched a massive development initiative today, and under the President's leadership, we are beginning these mega projects from the north. Within the next 2 or 3 months, we will initiate development projects across the country, and over the next 4 years, we aim to completely transform Sri Lanka into a dynamic work site of progress.
The spread of invasive aquatic plants in the Kalaweva Reservoir has made it difficult for wild elephants that live there to find food. As a solution, a preliminary inspection tour of the Kalaweva Aquatic Plant Removal Program, scheduled for the 5th, 6th and 7th of next month, under the theme "Let's Return Kalaweva to the Elephants Again," was held today. The aim of this program is to remove the invasive aquatic plants from the Kalaweva Reservoir and protect the reservoir's grasslands.
Today,
wild elephants have lost their habitat in Kalaweva because it has been overrun by invasive plants. As a result, wild elephants are now entering villages. They have started harming farmers, destroying crops and threatening livelihoods. On one hand, we need to protect the farmers, and on the other, we need to safeguard the wild elephants. It is with this in mind that the Clean Sri Lanka program has launched this initiative to remove invasive plants from Kalaweva and return it to the elephants under the theme "Let's Return Kalaweva to the Elephants Again." During these 3 days, September 5th, 6th and 7th, we aim to clear hundreds of acres of invasive plants and restore Kalaweva for the wild elephants.
Priyanka Disa Bandara, Commissioner at the Risk Management Division of the Department of Inland Revenue, has announced that the simplified VAT system will be replaced by the traditional VAT system starting from the 1st of October. She explained this at a seminar held today for the business community at the Kandy District Secretariat.
We call it SWAT for convenience. SWAT will be abolished on September 30th, 2025. This SWAT method will only be in effect until that date. Starting on the 1st of October, a new risk-based refund method will be introduced. The main thing that will happen with the introduction of this method is the abolition of both RIP and RIS statuses that were registered under the SWAT system. RIP refers to Registered Identified Purchasers. These were groups that supplied specific projects, exported goods and provided services or goods to exporters. The RIS group or Registered Identified Suppliers were those whose job was to supply to the RIP group. With the abolition of these two statuses, the system will shift from SWAT to the traditional VAT method. This means that for local purchasers, you can no longer use a piece of paper instead of paying the VAT portion. Instead, you'll have to pay the 10% VAT portion in cash. After making this payment, you will receive a traditional tax invoice, not a suspended tax invoice as before. Exporters can then use this tax invoice to claim their refund. This is what we mean by the risk-based refund method. Those who previously used a paper-based VAT transaction will now have to pay the VAT portion in cash and get a tax invoice in return. Now, you might understand the big problem this poses for exporters who enjoyed certain conveniences under the SWAT system. Previously, they would pay the VAT portion with a paper voucher. But now, when they purchase goods, they'll have to pay the VAT in cash. However, tax is not added to the supply of goods by exporters because their goods are sent abroad and the rate is zero. When the output tax rate is zero and they have to pay a large amount of input tax in cash, exporters can face cash flow problems. To prevent this hardship for exporters, the risk-based refund system is being introduced along with the abolition of SWAT. This system will provide a risk-based refund to eligible groups because their money cannot be held up. If it is, they'll face a huge problem and might be unable to export. Our country desperately needs foreign exchange. For this reason, we need to quickly overcome their financial difficulties, and this refund process will be expedited. The refund should be completed within 45 days and the payment will also be made based on risk. This is a special process.
The Asian Development Bank has approved $106.9 million to strengthen secondary healthcare services in Sri Lanka.
The Asian Development Bank has approved a $106.9 million financing package to strengthen Sri Lanka's secondary curative care services, improve communicable disease prevention and control, and enhance the healthcare sector's governance and management capacity. The funding for the Strengthening Integrated Healthcare and Governance for Universal Health Coverage program consists of a $100 million loan from ADB and a $6.9 million grant from the Pandemic Prevention, Preparedness and Response Trust Fund. The program will support improvements in Sri Lanka's pandemic prevention, preparedness and response capabilities through the establishment of a Centre for Disease Control, improve the capacity and accreditation mechanism of public health laboratories, and help implement the cross-sectoral integrated disease surveillance. Benefiting the entire population of Sri Lanka, these improved health systems will help healthy individuals take advantage of educational and economic opportunities, thereby contributing to overall societal development.
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has crossed the border into China, where he will be attending a military parade in the capital, Beijing.
The Victory Day parade on Wednesday will see Kim rub shoulders with China's President Xi Jinping, Russia's Vladimir Putin and other world leaders, making it his first multilateral international meeting. Kim crossed into China today on board his armoured train, which is said to include a restaurant serving fine French wines and dishes like fresh lobster. The train's heavy protection means it travels slowly, and his trip is expected to take up to 24 hours, according to South Korea's Yonhap agency, which reported the train crossing into China. Kim's attendance marks the first time a North Korean leader has attended a Chinese military parade since 1959. He will be among 26 other heads of state, including leaders from Myanmar, Iran and Cuba, who will also be there. His attendance is an upgrade from China's last Victory Day parade in 2015, when Pyongyang sent one of its top officials, Cho Ryong-hae. The reclusive leader rarely travels abroad, with his recent contact with world leaders limited to Putin, who he has met twice since Russia's invasion of Ukraine. He last visited Beijing in 2019 for an event marking the 70th anniversary of diplomatic ties between the countries. That trip also saw him travel by train.
Russia's leader Vladimir Putin and North Korea's Kim Jong-un will stand shoulder to shoulder with Chinese President Xi Jinping in Beijing at a military parade marking 80 years since the end of World War II on the 3rd of September. It will be the first time that these three leaders are meeting in public together.
Russian leader Vladimir Putin said his ties with Chinese President Xi Jinping are at an unprecedented level as the two met in Beijing on the eve of a massive military parade. Putin described Xi as a dear friend. Chinese state media said relations were exemplary. Russia is to increase supplies of gas to China, while Beijing will offer visa-free travel to Russians during a year-long trial.
Chinese-Russian relations have stood the test of international circumstances and serve as a model of interstate relations, eternal good neighborliness, friendship, comprehensive strategic interaction, mutually beneficial cooperation and win-win. In recent years, under our leadership, China and Russia have achieved fruitful results in cooperation in the spirit of their original goals and with determination. We are willing to work together to support each other in national development and prosperity, unwaveringly safeguard international justice and equality, and promote the formation of a more just and rational global governance system. Our close communication reflects the strategic nature of Russian-Chinese relations, which are at an unprecedentedly high level. And our decision, as 10 years ago in 2015, to jointly celebrate the anniversary of the Great Victory in Moscow and Beijing has special significance. This is a tribute to the feat of our peoples, the peoples of Russia and China during the Second World War. Confirmation of the key role of our countries in achieving victory in the European and Asian theatres of military operations, evidence of a common readiness to defend historical truth and justice. Our ancestors, our fathers and grandfathers paid a huge price for peace and freedom. We do not forget this, we remember it. This is the basis, the foundation of our achievements today and in the future. The memory of military brotherhood, trust, mutual assistance, firmness in protecting common interests form the basis of the relations of comprehensive partnership and strategic interaction between Russia and China in the new era. We were together then, we remain together now.
Текущим вопросам по перспективным планам пройдут на самом высоком уровне. Спасибо большое.
Russian President Vladimir Putin and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Monday met for bilateral talks in China's northern port city of Tianjin, where they attended the Shanghai Cooperation Organization summit. The two also discussed the Ukraine war as Modi welcomed all the efforts to achieve peace. A statement released by the Indian External Affairs Ministry said the two leaders discussed bilateral cooperation, including in the economic, financial and energy sectors. It added that Putin and Modi discussed regional and global issues, including the latest developments concerning Ukraine. Putin is scheduled to visit India late in December for their 23rd annual summit of leaders. She will also host China's largest ever military parade on Wednesday to mark the 80th anniversary of the surrender of the Japanese in China at the end of World War II. Russia and North Korea rely on China to bolster their economies, and these meetings will allow the Chinese leader to signal the extent of his power and influence at a time when Donald Trump is trying to do a deal with Putin to end the war in Ukraine. All three will stand shoulder to shoulder on Wednesday as tens of thousands of troops march through the Chinese capital. This week's meetings come at a time when Xi seeks to project Beijing's power on the international stage, not just as the world's second largest economy, but also as a diplomatic heavyweight. Xi has emphasized China's role as a stable trading partner, while US President Donald Trump's tariffs have upended economic relationships around the world. Now, while a deal with the Russian leader to end the war in Ukraine continues to elude Trump, Xi's welcome of Putin to Beijing demonstrates their close ties. The pair have previously touted their country's relationship as a friendship with no limits. Russia hopes gas exports to China and other countries will replace revenue lost after Western sanctions were imposed over its Ukraine war. Russian news agencies reported on Tuesday that once all projects are commissioned, the volume of pipeline gas supplies from Russia to China will amount to 106 billion cubic meters. That's still far below what Russia sent to the European Union before the full-scale invasion of Ukraine. China's foreign ministry announced that it would extend month-long visa-free travel to Russian passport holders on a trial basis for a year from the 15th September.
The death toll from Sunday's earthquake in Afghanistan rose to 1,109 on Tuesday, with another 2,938 people injured. The 6.0 magnitude earthquake, which struck just before midnight, destroyed 8,000 houses approximately. Emergency responders have yet to reach some villages where they fear there may be more dead and injured under the rubble.
The powerful earthquake's epicenter was about 17 miles east of Jalalabad. Almost all of the deaths were in Kunar province and others were killed in Nangarhar province. The United Nations humanitarian coordinator in Afghanistan says the number of registered deaths and injuries from the devastating earthquake is expected to rise. The official also said reaching the remote areas of the South Asian country is the biggest challenge before rescue teams and aid workers due to the damaged roads. Deadly earthquakes have struck Afghanistan several times in recent years, including a 5.9 magnitude quake in June 2022 and a 6.3 magnitude one in October 2023. The death toll for each of those quakes rose to over 1,000 people.
More than 1,000 people have been killed in a massive landslide that swallowed an entire village in Sudan's Darfur region. The disaster struck the village of Tarsin, located east of Jabal Mara, near the Sunni area, after days of heavy rainfall in late August.
At least 1,000 people were killed in a landslide that destroyed a village in the mountainous Jebel Mara area in the Darfur region of Sudan, leaving only one survivor. The landslide struck Tarsin village on 31st of August after a week of heavy rainfall. Appeals were made to the United Nations and international aid agencies to help recover the bodies of victims, including men, women and children.
Sirasa TV and TV1, which is part of Sri Lanka's MTV Channel Private Limited, is proud to announce its acquisition of exclusive television rights and non-exclusive digital rights in Sri Lanka for the Asian Cricket Council Asia Cup cricket tournaments from 2025 to 2027. This marks a strong commitment by Sirasa TV to promote and elevate women's cricket across the region.
The Men's T20 Asia Cup, Men's Under-19 T20 Asia Cup and the Men's and Women's Emerging Teams T20 Asia Cup are scheduled to be held this year. The Women's T20 Asia Cup, Men's Under-19 ODI Asia Cup, the Men's Emerging Teams ODI Asia Cup and the Women's Under-19 T20 Asia Cup will take place in 2026. The Men's ODI Asia Cup, Men's Under-19 T20 Asia Cup and the Women's Emerging Teams T20 Asia Cup are planned for 2027. Sirasa Media Network has also secured the official domestic broadcasting rights for the DP World Asia Cup 2025, which will be held in the United Arab Emirates from the 9th to the 28th. From Stein Studios in Ratmalana, we are ready to bring you the Asia Cup T20 tournament with advanced technology and international match analysis expertise. The launch of the all-new Hyundai Santa Fe Calligraphy Edition for 2025 took place in Colombo. The Hyundai Santa Fe Calligraphy Edition is the top-tier luxury trim level for the Santa Fe SUV. Underneath its sophisticated body lies a cutting-edge 1.6-litre turbocharged hybrid engine paired with an electric motor delivering a combined 172 kilowatts.
A new Serendip world record has been set in Sri Lanka with the creation of the country's longest ever Swiss roll.
A new Serendip world record has been set in Sri Lanka with the creation of the country's longest Swiss roll, measuring an impressive 150.9 feet. The record-breaking feat was led by chef Chamod Pires, who along with his dedicated team of chefs worked for weeks to complete the ambitious project. The achievement stands as a testament to the team's exceptional skills and creativity, highlighting the growing innovation within Sri Lanka's vibrant culinary community.
And that's a wrap of Primetime News on TV1 for tonight.
Thank you for watching.
Good night.